It's your girl Taj, and it's another episode of Talking with Tasja. Today, we are going to continue the conversation of domestic violence. Again, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and today we're going to show a side or talk about a side that most people don't talk about. Honestly, most people may not even care about. Today, we're going to let the men speak. We're going to have a special guest on. He is a brother of mine, he is a friend, and he has a great and strong and powerful testimony on surviving domestic violence, but from the male's perspective. So I want everybody to put their hands together and let's welcome my brother, Dale Green. Hey, Dale, how are you?
Yes, ma'am. Thanks for having me again.
Absolutely.
Right.
Um, he said again because we've been doing this
Mhm.
every year for quite a few years.
Right.
And so, of course, he was the first person I thought about when I decided to share this topic. And so, Dale, we're going to go straight into it.
Hmm.
Have you share your testimony, and then we're just going to flow with a conversation. All right?
Right. Right.
All of
Right.
you.
Yeah. So, like Tasha was saying, coming to getting married from a young age, and I'm not gonna say youth was a fault of this, but I'll say immaturity has a lot to do with this, and immaturity in the context of, um, you're trying to you want to do the right thing to honor God, but then no one, especially in our church context, is there to help you navigate the way that we have information now. That people can help you ask serious, uncomfortable questions and have a space, give you a space to know that it's okay to walk away even after you feel all the fuzzies about, and the hormones and everything is all over the place. You like somebody and they like you back and all of that, right? So got met my first spouse because I'm married again, um, and you see something about somebody you like, whether it's the way they sing in ministry or the way they carry themselves a certain way. You're from the same background, and like again, like I said, you're young, so you figure that's enough. You love God, you have a fear of God, and you're brought up to love and honor God, so that's enough. You don't ask serious, in-depth questions because nobody's doing that. Back then, when I was growing up, all you do is you meet somebody, you like them, and you tell your pastor, you tell your parents, and you check out their background. If they are, hardworking people, respectful, and that's it. Um, so going to that, and then, which is interesting because I remember in some points we had some discussion about things we were at the church and so on and so forth. Back then, the only thing that the discussions back then about wearing things to church was women wearing pants or wearing hats and stuff like that, right? So I remember having some conversation, and then when she'd get upset, um, her mannerism back then. Now I can look back and like, okay, there's a lot of immaturity back then that you know um, that should have made you stop and like pause. But we push on through because, like you said, it's not anything that would make you believe that an individual is a threat to your peace and well-being. Just you're just thinking, um, okay, we'll get through it, right? But then as time progressed, you realize that this person had insecurities or anger issues that would come out and manifest in a certain way when use the word they didn't get then things didn't go their way, right? And that happened a couple of times, whether it's breaking dishes or silent treatment or no sex or whatever it is, or and then those things would happen. And so over time, those things started escalating, right? Not to give um, excuse for any bad behavior, because when you have situations like that, it's just a matter of time before somebody say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, In my response then was to step out of my marriage, right? And or porn, turn to pornography. When, like I said, when you have dealing with a person who is controlling, um, they have the upper hand in you. Like I said, I came from Jamaica, and so we were living at her parents' home for a good point. And so in your mind, you're thinking, well, I can't go anywhere because I have no family around and so on. So let me just suck it up and drive on. And that would happen. You suck it up and you drive on. And so it was a control issue. It's a serious control issue. Do what I say, or make me respect my point of view. And when we have an argument, as soon as you hear something that you don't like, you walk out the room, and just keep on pushing that that way of operating. And so when it comes to the domestic violence piece, it's always about control. And you're not talking about this before. It's all about control, making the other person do what you want by holding certain things over their head, whether it's either physically beating on them. And I remember getting into physical altercation. Like I remember one time in particular when we were, and I wanted the when we were apart, because I would leave and come back. We'd get into these um, headbutting, strong quarrels, and then I was like, I'm not gonna take it. Whether it's child rearing or just relationship in general, I'm like, I'm not doing this. And I would leave, and when I left, I didn't leave to go, live with some woman or something like that. I just leave. Period. I remember going to a homeless shelter. I remember going to stay with a church mother, or actually it's deaconess, whatever it is. Remember changing with a brother, with a friend, their house, because my mentality was that I'm not gonna fight with you. I'm gonna pull myself away. But so, as a man, you have a couple of responses. If you respond physically, but the cops don't be called. I remember one time the cops got called. Called the cops, as a matter of fact, and they came and they took both of us to the down to the precinct, because the the attitude then was, and this is because something had happened back in the news some years before, where they come to a domestic violence situation, and they everything calmed down and they walked away, and then turned out the man murdered the woman. So now, subsequent to that, anytime there's a domestic violence call, they would take both persons away, and when they took us both away, they let me out first, went back, got my stuff, and went on. But it's never. We can talk about this. Everybody, there's a thing called the honeymoon period, when things quiet down. You start missing certain things about the person, some of the good things, and again, if you nobody gets married thinking one day I can't wait until 2 years pass and I divorce them and go on and try somebody else. That's not the thinking. You're gonna work it out. You have deacons around you, you have church mothers around you, you have other people around you saying, what's going on with you guys? You need to pray. We prayed. We had counselors upon counselors upon counselors upon counselors, 5, 10, 15 of them, right? Try to get to the the meat and the matter. And so it became complicated, because you hear these people in the back of your head telling you to stick it out. And for a guy, you can it's embarrassing or it's humbling to tell somebody that the reason why you stepped out in a marriage is because your wife has anger issues, or your wife beat on you, fight or break dishes, or whatever it is when you guys have a quarrel. You know, so what do? You suck it up, and you pray and you pray and you pray some more, and you wait and nothing changes, but you're still hoping that, because you don't want to really get to that ultimate place of saying we're going to separate, we're going to divorce. Nobody wants that, especially growing up in the church. That's not your first, that's not even the last thought. It's not even a thought in your mind. That's why we had the separation, the ongoing separation for about 6, 7, 8, 9 years, back and forth. And I come to realize that there's a lot of men, not just men, women do it too. But I'm saying from the male's perspective, you do this because there's nothing in your mind tells you that you're gonna go through this again. Because as far as you're concerned, um, She can overpower me, and you're not thinking ultimately that you may stab you in your neck with something. Your mind don't go that way. You're just thinking, okay, time has passed. We're calm again, and let's try this again. And this, I think, men in that context, men give women um more space and more grace than if it's the other way around, because a lot of time women have the scars, the bruise, and everything. So I had the mental scars, the emotional scars, feeling bad about myself, feeling, I made a poor decision, I made a wrong decision. How could I, I've gotten married to the wrong sister. All these thoughts are flooding in your head, because you're like, this person is not wicked and evil per se, but they're just wrong for who I am. I'm wrong for them. However we're gonna slice it. And I bring out the best, the worst in them, they bring out the worst in me. You know. And then when you compound that with violence, and the violence doesn't have to be physically on you, but it can be, like I said, breaking dishes, and but then you have, it doesn't, it goes from one side to the other, you know. I remember driving in the car one day, and we were talking about ministry, and by this time she had thought, we were supposed to go into ministry together, and I told the pastor, I said, I have a hard problem. She was a choir director, and I was saying I have a hard problem going into ministry with my wife, and we have stuff to take care of at home. We're not at home. We are not behaving right. She doesn't respect me as the man, as a man, period, as her husband. And so it's hard for me to come to church and see her giving respect to the pastor, and she's not respecting me. And I'm not asking for a lot. I am. I think I'm relatively easy to please. That's what I thought. I don't know. The debate is out there. Um, but that's what I thought. I mean, I grew up domesticated, wash, cook, clean, you name it. I jump right in, do all this stuff. I remember, I wash her uniform because she was a nurse and all that. And always there, helping out with the kids, the work. Not being perfect. So, but nobody is perfect. We are all learning and becoming. And we had this discussion in the car coming. And my brother, I think, had written a letter to her, and she read it. And I said to her, I I agree with that sentiment. I do, because of what I know. And so she got angry when driving back, and she started hitting me while she's driving. You know, it's by the grace of God that, and it's pretty much stopped in the middle of the highway. Grace of God, nothing terrible happened. And I'm just saying this in the context of what happened then. We have today, I thought we were in a healthy place, but funny because a week, 2 weekends ago, something happened. And she did something that I thought was really out of character. So I'm like, okay, there's still residue of things, of certain attitudes that's still out there. We can grow in one area and then not grow in the other area. I can say that very much to myself. So that's some of the things I don't just keep. I just keep her in prayer because, like I say, I have no evil thought against anybody. I'm not. I don't carry grudges or whatever. When I see people act a certain way, I say, okay, God, obviously we have things to work on. So in a nutshell, without going into depth about every little part of every year that goes by, but feel free to ask questions about anything else I've said.
Yeah, thank you so much for
Mm-hmm.
sharing a synopsis of
Overview.
some of the things that transpired. So I know a lot of people, especially women, most people in general just think that domestic violence is a woman's issue, right? And we're clear and we know that it's not a woman's issue; it's actually a human issue. And
Yes.
sometimes it's not even always between just spouses,
Right.
but uh, some people don't even call it domestic violence anymore. Now they call it intimate partner violence
Mm-hmm.
because it can happen between a father and a child, a mother and a
Right.
child, siblings,
Mm-hmm.
cousins,
Yes.
brother.
Yes.
I want to know, growing up, did you see any form of domestic violence in the home? Anything that you may think of that could have caused you to want to, stay in the marriage, only because, I saw this and I didn't want to end like how they ended.
Okay, right, right. I know in my family cultural setting, I don't, I might have heard of it, but I know it wasn't in my family. It
Okay.
was but definitely not in my parents. In my parents, I didn't see nothing like that. I saw things that would you call what is called it now? That would be you would call maybe passive aggressive stuff. You know,
Okay.
yeah, but everybody depends on which day it is can be accused of being passive aggressive. So,
Right.
you
Right.
know, and that was the maximum I see. But beyond that, my parents, you know, they had banter, you know, and if my
Mhm.
mother didn't like something that my dad did, she would let it know, but she was not a loud person. You'd never hear her voice talking to my dad about anything they disagree about, you know.
Oh,
You know, so not like that. My parents were loving people, so but in the context that we grew up in, like I said, the culture was like divorce wasn't something that you even heard of, and anybody did it, they were looked down upon. The
so do you
very
think that caused you to want to fight for your marriage and
oh
not fight
yes,
physically, but fight
right,
as like
right,
I don't want to bring shame to my family because this
hmm
doesn't exist.
right. That's exactly true. Yes, yes, and like you say, so you stay and you get yeah you stay you tolerate and you put up with a lot of things and you accept a lot of things, either be thinking it's your fault or be thinking that you're supposed to just suck it up and drive on. And especially as a man, you're like, you know, hey, it ain't that serious, or she'll get over it, or something along that line, and downplay the seriousness of what you're going through. But then when you're in your quiet moments, you're struggling with, gosh, what did I just sign up for? This shouldn't have been. And this is on the full circle. What is getting on your response for responsibility for responding the way you're responding, or the fact that you're in this thing and have to try to figure it
Right. I'm thinking about, as a man, right?
out.
How would how did it mentally affect you? So going through the
Hmm.
dishes breaking and the aggression and like you say, you came from Jamaica, and so you were kind of like you had nothing coming over here, right? All you
Right.
knew was her people, um,
Yes.
in whatever environment she placed you in
Right.
until you learned yourself, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So, just as a man, what kind of toll did it take on your mental health going through all of that? Like as your
Well,
manhood, like what
yeah.
did
Oh, yeah.
it do to your mental?
Totally. Totally. Because like they, I mean, like I said, prayerfully, there's a lot of tears, a lot of um, regrets, a lot of regrets, a lot of shame, a lot of shame, a lot of shame. Like, um, what did I do to deserve this? That I bring this on myself. You
Mm.
know, how could I not see this coming? Um, did God try to warn me and I did not pay attention? You know, I question my spirituality. I question a lot of my spirituality, a lot of it. I question my maturity, my walk with God. I question my manhood. You know, my manhood is like, nobody should, no woman should bring this to me. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, no woman should bring this to me. I'm not that kind of person. I've never been a fighting person. So for somebody to bring fight to me is like, wow, I'm this must I probably I'm a woman. I don't know, these people talk like that. Like, who would bring a fight to a man? I mean, like, unless you really think you can match me, and like, wow, like, yeah, like, this is crazy. So your man would get checked because you're like, no woman should really feel comfortable bringing a fight to a man. I never seen that growing up, that any woman bring a fight to a man. You never saw it. I'm not saying it didn't exist. I'm just saying I didn't see it. You didn't see it. It was boy to boy, girl to girl, but woman, guy and girl. No, because we were. Thank you, Holy Spirit. We're taught not to hit women. We're taught that. So if you're taught that, then you're thinking, okay, all right now, okay now, But when it happened more than one time, you like, and I still did. I mean, I remember only one time I even say use the word hit her, and it wasn't even anything that could really done an open fist. One more like trying to get her away from me, you know, because in physical um, um, height and weight we're about the same, you know, and so there's an equal match here, just purely to say, but um, I
It's
would
not
not try to.
really an equal match because although y'all could have been the same weight and height, we
Mhm,
all know whether women want to agree with it or not,
mhm.
men are stronger than women.
Totally, and that's why I'm saying that I didn't. I'm glad you said it because I didn't come to her deal with her in my beast mode, in my brutal, in my masculinity. No, it's one more like shoving you off, pushing you away, whatever. Because if I was going to a closed fist and the rest of it, and my jujitsu and stuff, you, you know, I mean, it'd been a mess. It'd been a
Right.
mess.
And then
Because
it
I
would have
tried.
been a whole
Yeah, exactly. No, try your best not to bring no bruises or nothing like that. No chokeholds, nothing. Just try
right.
to push you off of me, get you off of me, let me go. Then she said, I remember the situation, I was trying to bring it up, but when she told me to hit her, like, hit me, then hit me. And like, no, I ain't going to hit you. I'm not going to hit you.
So she
No.
tried to instigate a fight.
Well, once you realize that she, I think the moments like you realize how wrong you are, and that the person is not trying to fight back, and so now at the end of the day, you're like, okay, they're not trying to fight back, so it's lopsided because now when the report gets out there, it's gonna be that you're the aggression. You can't say that we were fighting. No, you assaulted. Not like we
Right.
were
It
fighting.
wasn't a fight.
So it
Right.
would be called a fight. Now, if I'm hitting you back, then it's a fight. But if you're the only one hitting and I'm pushing away, then this is an assault.
Right.
And and this will be reported that it was an assault. No, it was a fight. No, we weren't fighting each other. And I remember times where we were fighting each other. No, 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 we weren't fighting each other. You were fighting me. Wow, it just took me back because I don't want to. As I think about as getting through this now, I have to wash myself off because I don't want to think that way. I don't want to go back
Right.
thinking that way about it because even like I said, something transpired last weekend, and I texted her and I said I got to telling her how disappointed I was because I thought she had gotten to a way more healthy place, and I'm like, but I'm okay praying for you, and because I don't have any bitter thoughts or nothing towards you, um, I'm just really disappointed, and that's why I want to carry myself going forward because hatred, malice, anger, bitterness, it does not do good for you. For
At
you,
all.
the other person could be going on with their life or whatever it is, but it's not helping you and not healthy for you. So
Right.
how do you pray for those who despitefully use you, speak all manner of evil against you, and etc. And one and the third, you have to keep your mind in a healthy space of God. That's still your child. One day they're gonna process through and go through the other side and come out healthy and whole. That's my dream for everybody. That everybody need to be healed. And like I was listening to a pastor preach this weekend, it's like everybody deserves not okay, take deserve out of it. Everybody wants to be loved.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to be loved. And I would say God wants every one of us to have love in our life and to experience love in our lives. As whacked up and jacked up as we are, we all want love, deserve love because He made us to enter into loving relationships.
He is love.
Um, and He's love, and that's what He wants for us. That's what He wants for all of us. So the fact that we take crazy paths and miss it doesn't take it from the fact that He wants us to have it. But we have to take accountability too. That's the other side of
Right.
accountability for how exactly. Go ahead.
So with everything you said something and you said you had questioned God on did you see the signs or you know, and it's easy to ask that question right after you've come out of it, but
Right.
this has been some time for you to look back in retrospect. Looking
Mm.
back, do you are you now able to see that there were some kind of signs
Oh
before?
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Totally, totally. But then I could say yes and no because nobody's expecting it to ratchet up to this level.
Right.
You're not expecting it up here. but there are definitely things you see down here to see that this person will push. This person will push back. This person will be, I don't say aggressive, but this person will, yeah, won't take, they won't take correction. They won't take correction. They will definitely won't take correction. They have a hard problem dealing um with with opposing point of view, especially because when you oppose people and you try to point out their way of thinking that may be off, whatever it is, there's two ways to go. Either humble out and say, you're right, I'm wrong, or I don't know, I don't feel the same way, but that's okay.
Right.
But other people take it then like you're wrong, and how could you think this way, and you're evil person, or I'm mad at you, kind of a thing. Anything, any disposition along that line. They're mad at you because you voice your opinion, you voice your displeasure, or
Mhm.
exactly your other point of view. And I saw that, like, wow, I saw that, and I didn't put it together because being young, your experience in life is young. So you're not really equating or making any correlation to something could go beyond that later on. I guess, like, and some people guess just should be in counseling until you die. Because sometimes you just don't. Lessons are hard for you to learn without somebody always over your shoulder helping you to analyze things in a healthy way. So
Mm.
some things I missed, yes, and something I just didn't know.
Right.
Person character.
Um, I know you said that you're still in communications with her, and I know some people might ask why.
I'm glad you, I'm glad you say that. I'm glad you asked the question because like I said, we have two kids together, right? And in the recent years, we've gotten to talking more because her parents, her parents, her siblings, and I, we moved in. We're still in the same church circle, so to speak. Especially now that we're on Facebook and Instagram. We have share same Facebook friends. Some of us are etc. So we in the same circle. So we have gotten into talking and stuff. And we in a healthy place where um after my previous spouse, I got married again. You know that, and my previous second wife, she passed away. So we got into talking, then just talking, And I remember at one point we're like, wow, there's this question mark, like we're talking and we both sound like we're healthy people.
Mm-hmm.
Is life playing a trick on us? Are we connecting again? And so we go into this, we have this casual, friendly, really friendly conversation like two friends,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um,
Yeah, I can't do that. Mm-mm.
exactly, right. And
Can't
some
do
people, yeah, exactly. So enough to now learn now to some people how to place certain people, and I've seen people come back to places where they're very friendly, respectful, cordial relationship with their exes. I've seen it. I've seen it happen. There are
that. It's
many
true.
stories, but it's not like it's not for everybody. You have to know where to place some people because some people are just never healed. Some people are never um, get the therapy they need. So you have to learn that okay, life is such that we may come around and move around the same orbit for whatever the reason, and you have to know in a very healthy way to say, um, I'm placing you here, and I'm placing you here, wish the best for you, etc., and just keep it moving.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily about um, whether a person has healed or not.
Hmm.
I just think that as a person, you know how much tolerance you can take from another person,
Yeah.
and it's
Yes.
called boundaries, right?
Yes. That's a good
And
word, right? That's the word right there. Boundaries.
it's 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 safe for you. Like for me, for instance,
Hmm.
when I left, I left.
Hmm.
Like I want no parts.
Right.
There are still people within the circle that I might have very light communication with, like
Hmm.
literally only via social media. I don't
Hmm.
have people's phone numbers, they don't have
Right.
mine or whatever. And when my goddaughter passed away, I reached out to one of his church members and
Hmm.
just asked them to let him know that, because at some point in his life that was his goddaughter as well. So
Mm-hmm.
cordial, right? I don't want
Right,
to talk
right,
to you.
right.
If I wanted to talk to you, I would look you up on social media. I don't want no parts. And then he reached out via
Mm-hmm.
Instagram. Now Instagram wasn't around when I was married
Right, 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 right,
or when
right.
I got divorced. So anyways, but reached out and was trying to have this conversation and even
Yeah,
gave me his cell phone number. I'm like,
right, right, right. Yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no. Keep it
no,
100. Keep it 100. That's
keep
okay.
that to yourself. I don't want you, never. No, I got delivered all the way,
Right.
right? And so I had to do that because boundaries are necessary,
Yes, yes.
right? Because anything you can do, anything that person who has already traumatized you,
Yeah.
unless you are in the healing process,
Mm-hmm.
it can trigger you.
Oh, totally. Oh, yeah. It can
You
most
can easily be
definitely.
triggered, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yes.
even
I
after
agree.
that little brief conversation, only via text, because it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
via phone call or anything
Mm-hmm.
or video,
Right.
I had to pray. I had to pray for God, make sure I don't hate this man.
Yes. Yes.
God, check my heart
Yes.
because I'm not a bitter woman.
Right.
I don't want no parts to do with this man, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so going through everything that you've gone through,
Mm-hmm.
um, now, it gives the audience a better understanding of why you have somewhat communication with her, mostly
Mm-hmm.
for the sake of your children, right?
Right.
Because at
Right.
the end of
Right.
the day, your kids still need both parents. As long
Right.
as God gives
I'm glad you bring that up
you
because like her siblings, sisters, and parents, we get along great. My son had his 30th birthday thing for my son and or our son, and went down to Connecticut, whatever it is. Great time with the cousins and friends and whatever it is, hugs, etc., etc. Joke around on internet with each other all the time. But when it
Mhm.
comes to her, I have to I got to put her over here. I have to put her over here because
Yeah,
lines will be crossed, lines will be disrespect. I'm married again, so disrespect. I have to honor my wife and that position and make sure that's on point because sometimes people, think that they still have a right to you or your space because you share a child together, etc., etc. So I have to I'm learning lessons in life, that you just have to once certain things have been violated and you've come out okay and you come out and you're hold all your no parts missing is like you have to honor that, cherish that for what it is, and in a healthy space, in a healthy, put your mind in a guarded place, not
hmm,
paranoid, just in a very guarded place.
right.
Like our mind, guarded place because you don't want
Protect
to. Yeah, protecting exactly, and it's protecting them from hurt or protecting them from expecting something that they're not due to or whatever it is, and also protecting you from from backsliding into unhealthy relations, interactions, unhealthy
Yeah, it's a
interactions.
defense mechanism. Like
Yeah,
have to, you have to do certain things in order to make sure that your mental space is safe, right?
that's
And so,
it.
um, I'm grateful that God brought you out, right?
Yes.
My I'm gonna talk about a certain aspect of your testimony
Hmm.
that we're gonna kind of talk on when it comes to the churches,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
And so, the point of this podcast is to address issues that the church doesn't really want to talk about.
Oh, that's good. Oh,
And so with
you you just stirred up something in me as you say. Go ahead.
your testimony, being that you guys were active in ministry, uh,
Hmm.
music, and we know you're elder, and I guess you guys were about to what? Well, I guess they were considering you guys to
Yeah.
launch ministry,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Together. One, I honor you for saying you weren't ready. because most
Mhm.
people wouldn't. They would just take advantage of the opportunity
Mhm.
and just go with it. Um, Two, I want you to share the church's role in one, if you felt like they were trying to force you to stay married, even though you had expressed what you were going through.
Mhm.
And two, what did you feel like they should have done?
Okay, I'm glad you said it because wow, this is so good. I remember back then the pastor of the church that we are going to then I think okay, my ex-wife, and it's a woman thing. I guess I'll say the woman thing. And some men respond to women's tears differently. You get sympathetic, you get overly caught up in the emotions, and it's hard for you. And some men or counselors get hard to see beyond the tears and
Mhm.
stay even keeled in their counseling. And that right there, through our situation, from my perspective, didn't help because the pastor then at that time he should have been really really level with her like he was with me and call us both to the carpet like, okay, you guys need to sit down and really hash out where you go from here and get a counselor and get the counselor and work with the counselor if you really want to do this. You really
Mhm.
want to do this. Um, that was not done as it could have been better done. Let's put it that way. That would have been better handled. That with the bishop too. I mean, he was knowledgeable of what was going on. That could have been better handled because, like you say, sometimes people, and I understand sometimes people get hands off because they don't want to advise you on something, and then you go back and do something else. But I think from a professional standpoint, it could have been definitely handled better, where you say both people are evidently have the call of God in their life.
Mhm.
Why would you push? That's from me. Why would you push the wife to go forward, and then the husband is saying, "No, pastor, this is not right. She need to be held back, not because I want her to be held back, but as a we thing." You know what I'm saying? And she's still pushing, going ahead. I'm like, no, she should be chilling. She should be chilling and fixing this. You can't fix that with ministry. Ministry cannot fix your inner issues.
Can you say that again? I need I
Ministry.
need I need a lot of preachers and wannabe preachers to hear that part.
Yeah, ministry cannot fix the issue of your heart. It's a hard thing that you need. Only God can fix the issue of your heart. So you're gonna go ahead in ministry. You're gonna jack that. You're gonna jack. I mean, first of all, you're gonna encourage the person to continue in the madness because if there's no incentive to change, why change? Well, work on me because and this will happen later on. And I see it very very clearly by what happened over the weekend. When you take the person away, say I was the reason for your upset, you still
Mhm.
have issues as a person. Your insecurities, your self-esteem, and all that kind of stuff. I'm out of the picture, but you still have that, and you know you still have anger issue with you. You know you still have anger issue. You know you still have bitterness and hurt inside of you, but it doesn't come out because, quote unquote, the trigger is not there. If I'm the trigger, but you still have it within you, and you have not dealt with it. You only um, gloss over it or sweep it under the rug with being active and busy in ministry. So you use ministry for your validation because at home you don't have the validation because you and your spouse not seeing eye to eye and you're not working together with each other in harmony. So you go out in ministry where you're there for 2 hours and you come back home and everybody think you're a wonderful person because they don't live with you. You're saying while your children is seeing it and your spouse is seeing it, and they don't highly regard your ministry because they see how you behave, how you treat them, and how you treat your spouse. So, and then your siblings see it too because you live with them. The only people who don't know about it are the folks from the ministry who you're singing to and preaching to. And
Mhm.
that's really unfortunate. That's really unfortunate because now people, the word is going to get out there eventually that you treat your spouse this way, or you treat your children this way, or you treat your family this way. It's going to eventually get out there because people talk.
Right.
People love to talk. You think you're getting over on them, but people are looking at you like, okay, okay.
Mhm.
Or people will say, if you want to know how a person is living at home, look at the way their spouse react when they're preaching. If they do show up at all.
Always. Always.
I have to tell you a story. You talk about how wonderful you are yesterday. The wife looking like to the wall, like, yeah.
Or she always had on with her head down
Right, right,
in her
right.
phone while you preaching.
What you're preaching to? Because you know home is jacked up. So
Right,
I'm not about that life. I've never seen my parents operate like that. So I'm like, because you're the first person. You say your first ministry is your home, right?
right.
Home is your first ministry. That's where you demonstrate the love of God, the patience of God, the understanding, the compromise. That's where you get to live, flesh that out. It's not on the pulpit. You don't flesh it out on the pulpit. You just bring in a message and word and go about your business. You're not. So that's where I felt the church did not really come full circle with handling us when it comes to that piece.
Okay. Did you think they were trying to force y'all to stay together?
In the culture that we're in, I mean, that's something that was, like I said again, so looked down upon that. I remember a deacon said to me once, he said, you need to put your foot down, you come to to put your foot down. I said, sir, respectfully, when I put my foot down, we end up in a fight. And I don't do fights.
Right.
So, I'm like, no, I don't know what does put your foot from a woman. I'm gonna ask you this. I know you're interviewing me. Let me ask you, what would put your foot down mean as a man in a situation? What would that mean? What does that look like? I don't even know.
It depends on the relationship, right? So
Mhm.
we all know that I'm one to definitely voice my opinion, right? So for me personally, whatever man God blesses me with, hallelujah,
Mhm. Amen.
he would, you know, sometimes, not all the time. I
Mhm.
have wisdom now when it comes to relationships and
Right,
voice opinion.
right.
Glory to God.
Amen.
But he would say something like, Taj, like, hey, like, be easy. All right, calm down, calm down. But
Right.
that also depends on the woman,
Yes. Yes.
right? So when you have an immature woman
Hmm.
who likes to rah, 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 and you, men are going to do one or two things. They
Right.
walk away
Yes.
or they're going to get in your face.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
That usually happens. And for a
Hmm.
lot of men, that's them putting their foot down. Like, you're not
Yes.
going to talk to me this way. You
Right.
need to shut up. You need to
Mhm.
calm down. Not saying that that language is
Right, but that's
best.
what you got. Yeah,
In
right.
the heat of the moment, we get it, right?
Yeah.
If we're going to keep it a buck, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if somebody's up in my face, yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
coming right back at you just as
You.
hard as you're coming at me.
Me. Yeah.
Like,
Right.
it's the reality of the situation. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like, when a man puts his foot down, it's
Yes.
him taking assertiveness,
Yes. That's good. That's the right
control of
word.
the situation, and hopefully bringing that situation back to a peaceful place.
Reset. Yeah.
That's what mature men do. That's
Yeah.
how they,
Yes.
put
Yeah.
their foot down. Um,
Yes.
just bring everything back to normal. Hey, this
Mm-hmm.
is how we operate, not in this relationship.
Right. Right.
But then, I don't want to say, but the type of men that are
Mm-hmm.
out here nowadays, God help us.
Right.
That's not yeah, it is a general statement,
Yeah.
but I don't want to say all men are like that because they're
Of
not.
course.
There's some
Of
really,
course.
really amazing men
Yes,
out there.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
There are
That's
some
100%
great men out there.
very
Um,
true.
they're just kind of hard to find.
But I put it this way: in
Hard.
church, we as men, for the most anybody who grew up in well, I should say anybody. Let me tame that down. A lot of us men who have been brought up in church, we've been brought up, like you say, especially uncertain cultural construct, because you talk about nature and nurture and all that. I've been told not to hit a woman. We've been taught that
Right.
early. In my age group, that's what we were taught. That's what we were brought up on. You
Mhm.
used to see movies back in the day. A woman would smack a man on the face, and you're just like, and just
And
look at her and then walk away. Exactly. That's how we brought up. And she wouldn't be doing this. She would just do this one slap in the face, and then that's it. You know. And then he's like, "Oh, I probably deserve that," or whatever it is. But he's walk away. He wouldn't be known in your face, da 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 da, and pounding on you, and it would be none of that. None of that.
Unless it's like the ghetto movies,
That's I don't watch them.
uh, like the Tubi movies.
Don't watch it.
Like Baby
No.
Boy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry. I'll go way back in the 1970s, early 80s. That's it.
Right. But that's my definition of a man putting his foot down. I want to touch on another topic. Um, and I know you may not be able to speak for them, but I'm sure you might have heard something
Hmm.
from their perspective um, when it comes to your children.
Hmm.
Did they see a lot of that? And if
Yep.
they
They
did,
saw it and heard it.
I guess they're older now, so I'm
Hmm.
sure, knowing you, I'm sure you've had some kind of conversations with them about
Yep.
this.
Yep.
Um, what has been their journey from seeing it into growing up, and their
Well,
mental health, how
yeah,
has it affected them?
it's interesting, I said, because I saw my older son, repeating some of the behavior that I've repeated with tolerating toxicity with a girlfriend that he had. I'm like, you're not married to this person. Why? Why? Why would you put up with that? His sister told him, some of his friends told him, why? You're giving, you're being gracious, you're being forgiving. And no, no, I don't care how banging her body is. No, don't, no, no, don't do it. No, it's not. So I saw my son repeating that and being gracious to a person who treated him less than he deserved, right?
Mm,
And not to say that nobody, like I said again, nobody's perfect, but it's like you're in a relationship with a person who is taking your meekness for weakness.
mm,
Don't do it. It is not deserved, and it took a toll on him. He lost a few pounds. Well, when they totally went their separate ways, you know. And I didn't say this thing, but I no, I said something of the fact of that sort to him, but I took it to myself. I'm like, wow, it's interesting how your children will demonstrate a certain amount of grace or tolerance that is unhealthy for them based on what they've seen before. When my dad and my mom, they tolerated, they went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth with the person they claim to love, and so it's like I guess it's okay to go back and forth with somebody you know that you love and you want a relationship with it, whatever it is. But the point where you're like, you don't have to though. You don't have to do. It's good. It's commendable that you're trying, but you don't. You should not feel that you have to. and I've and I've spoken to them and I've made my apologies to them. I said, I didn't grow up in a family that was broken, or so I don't know what it's like to be without your father and your mother around. And I told them no certain terms. I wrote it several times. I've written apologies to them and said to them in person, I'm really, 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 really sorry. And my my dad was, responding like, Dad, you don't have to keep apologizing. It's okay. We're okay. We're okay. They've said that to me. Um, whew, I'm trying to hold it together.
it's okay.
Trying to hold it together. They say
All
we're
right.
okay.
Tears are good.
Say again.
I
All
said tears
tears are good.
are
Yeah.
good, even for
No,
men. Tears are
it,
good. Men
this is
cry.
yeah. It's heavy. It gets heavy sometimes. It gets really heavy sometimes because I personally live in a space of every now and then that space of regret hits me. Because sometimes you go back and you're like, if you had changed that, how would that have changed how they relate in their relationships? Neither of them are married right now. My daughter's 32, my older son is 30. And, you know, these days it's scary out there. You see your aunt got divorced, you see your uncle got divorced. You see other people around your relatives that they have a marriage that you wouldn't want, even though they are married. What I'm saying? You look at something like, yeah, no, no, I'm gonna take my time. But I want to be married. They'll tell you I want to be married when they have children or whatever it is. But I'm not crazy either because I see stuff out here. The people are closely connected to me, and it's the folk that have the crazy marriages. Those are the ones who stand out. Ones who have good marriages, they don't make the news. like the ones who may have the crazy situations, right? So that by itself, I have no doubt that my daughter would tell you she remember hearing the quarrels going back in the room, and she would listen, and she would not go to bed until everything. She would tell you she should be outside in the hallway, listen to the quarrels, and she wouldn't go to bed until she know that everything was quiet. Which would either mean I'd get up and get my bag and go to a hotel and stay, or something along the line, or she might go upstairs and sleep upstairs, or go sleep on the couch, or whatever it is. She's been in the middle of seeing a fight, you know, between us, and had to be play referee, you know. I don't know how much of that she remember, but she remember that she was probably about 10 or 11 or 12 at the time. So, but like you said, everybody grew up and you live through things, and at you're 30 now, you've seen a lot of things, you've learned a lot, read some books, been to college, understand about humanity. It doesn't matter who your mother or your father is, people make decisions, and sometimes they grow up and sometimes they don't, or they just grow slowly. So yeah, that's that. I probably went too long on the answer, but
No, that was good.
mhm.
I want to thank you for being so open, so transparent, so honest with your testimony. And I always got love for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you again, audience. Let's just thank Dale for being open and letting the men speak. All right, thank you so much, Dale. And so, everyone, whether you know or not, but the statistics for domestic violence are 1 in every 4 women are or have been abused, and 1 in every 3 men have been abused as well. So, like we said earlier, this is not a woman's issue, this is a human issue. Everyone knows someone who has gone through some form of domestic violence. And so, we want to just share the domestic violence hotline number and just reach out if you know anyone who is going through an abusive situation and they want help. Like I said, I'm here for anyone. I'm an advocate for anybody who's going through domestic violence, and we just want to make sure that we try to end this. This monster, it needs to stop. It needs to end. Okay, I want to thank you guys for joining us on a second episode of Talking with Tasja. We love you. Deuces.